In 1960, Norway began having issues with overfishing. They had a Norwegian spring spawning where fish had been very overfished, and this ultimately led to consequences that encouraged Norway to finally start to change/limit overfishing. The program was put into place to limit overfishing, particularly for the species of cod, which tend to be heavily overfished. The program will never be complete unless people decide to comply with the new standards/rules that set into place. They are working towards implementing the TACS Act, which limits the amount of fish that fishermen can catch. They have also signed up to the Sustainable Development Goals. The European Commission admitted that the EU-Norway negotiations were particularly unsuccessful in terms of following scientific advice for sustainable fishing limits for 2019. Norway has a 21% excess in overfishing beyond the total allowed catches. In 2019, EU and Norway agreed to a cut of around 30% to the TAC, while the science recommended that it should have been around a 50% cut. This was said by Rebecca Hubbard, the program director at RFish. Although this program will never truly be complete, Norway will continue to work towards this issue of overfishing.
Norway is working really hard to sustain their water. Rivers and other bodies of water are challenged with pollution, urbanization, and invasive water species. Norway's water is in bad condition as 40% of the water is in less than good status. Pollution brings hazardous and dangerous substances to clean water. Norway's water is suffering the most in the south and northeast. People are advised not to eat some of its water life because of massive amounts of mercury. Norway put in place in January 2001 the Water Resources Act. This act was put in place throughout Norway to take into consideration the needs and wants of the community in regards to water sustainability. This act's goal is to sustain water resources while continuing to keep the natural water processes. This act requires all major water usage projects to obtain a license before starting. This keeps everyone's interests and wishes for water fulfilled. This keeps to protect major damages in Norway's water supply. In the future, it is shown that climate change is going to present world problems leading to nutrient balance increases. The runoff will also help to affect this. This is going to create higher need for more water protection agencies. The increasing masses of pollution from runoff is also going to require more infrastructure for water sustainability.
Ecotourism is a big deal in Norway. If you didn't know, ecotourism is tourism directed toward exotic natural environments intended to support conservation efforts and observe wildlife. Norway provides activities such as river rafting, caving, and dog sledding. But their biggest attraction is the fjords. There are various fjords tours, which you can take to explore the famous Norwegian fjords. Norway is a role model when it comes to environmental policy by preserving their coastline by regulating hunting, fishing, and petroleum industries. The Norwegian fjords found themselves in the top 5 ecotourism destinations in the world in 2014. Because Norway is in such a remote location and has strict environmental regulations, the fjords have managed to stay in pretty good condition. One way Norway is trying to keep the fjords perfect is their zero-emission boats. When they used cruises on their tours, the nitrogen dioxide levels would reach their limit, so using these zero-emission boats stops the fjords from melting faster.
Norway has been pushing eco-friendly housing to a new standard. By working with zero-emission organizations and world-renowned architects, some of the most eco-friendly houses and other buildings have been built in Norway. From utilizing Norway's vast geothermal energy supply to energy-efficient architecture, the country is making strides in sustainable development. The most eco-friendly house in the world is considered to be the ZEB Pilot House in Norway. Through a partnership with Norway's Research Center on Zero-Emission Buildings, it was designed to be 100% zero-emission certified. The house uses various natural sources to provide enough energy to power a family electric car for a year, in addition to all other energy it needs to be self-sufficient. Using clever, eco-friendly design, the house uses only 7,272 kilowatts of energy per year, but produces 23,300 kilowatts per year. The roof alone produces an estimated 19,200 kilowatts of energy from 1,614 square feet of solar panel coverage. A tilt of 19 degrees maximizes exposure to the sun. This tilt also aids in the collection of rainwater. The water in the house is heated by thermal solar panels. Recycled materials were largely utilized in the construction and interior design of the house. Large windows help to maximize warmth, and sensors distribute it accordingly to each room. Its radiator draws energy from geothermal wells. The house accomplished all this while still having utmost quality architecture and livability.
The drilling of 4 wells for geothermal heating is now underway in Talladega, Norway. The drilling site is near the area for the construction of a new National Police Emergency Response Center, which is scheduled to be operational by the end of 2020. Financial support for the initiative was provided by Enova, while drilling will be undertaken by 2 Norwegian companies, Rock Energy and Basin Boring. The geothermal wells will provide snow melting for the center's helicopter spaces, street heating, and heating of the center's indoor shooting range. With all 4 wells operational, street heating cost can be reduced from 200 Norwegian krone to 15 Norwegian krone per square meter. Annual savings due to geothermal heating is estimated to be around 1.7 million krone. The 4 wells were designed to go depths of 1,500 meters, only the second time that this has been attempted in Norway. To complete the drilling of the wells faster and at a less cost, the drilling companies have adopted a special drilling method that uses compressed air.
Norway has over 450,000 lakes and a huge number of rivers. So what would Norway do with all this water? The water is mainly used for hydropower, generating over 144 terawatts per hour. 1 terawatt is equivalent to 1 trillion watts in an hour. There's so much energy it is unnecessary to even have fossil fuels. To compare how much energy there is, the capital only uses 9 terawatts an hour. Norway first started using hydropower for energy in the 19th century after the government wanted to secure water use for hydropower. The parliament in Norway passed laws that made sure only Norway could get energy from the water. After the law was passed, the Heron Power Station was built in 1900 outside of Oslo, the capital. Then in 1911, the Vemork Power Plant Station was built near Rjukan. At the time, it was the world's largest power station. So while other countries' industrial revolution was fueled by coal and oil, Norway's was fueled by hydropower. This means Norway was able to advance without using an unclean energy source. It also means Norway is, energy-wise, secure for the future. There were over 1,660 power plants producing hydroelectricity for Norway. There even is talk of Norway using leftover energy to give to Germany for use. Norway hardly uses oil in comparison to Norway, produces 1.6 billion barrels of oil, while they only use 200,000 barrels of oil a day. That's a huge difference compared to other countries. Norway is one of the cleanest, energy-wise countries in the world. It is ranked 8th for how much clean energy they use, yet they produce more than the other top 8 combined.
Some fun facts about Norway are: football is the favorite sport in Norway, and Norway was originally called Nordweg, meaning the Northern Way.
Norway does not have one official religion, about 70% of Norway is uninhabited, and Norway is the world's largest producer of salmon.
The world's most remote island is a Norwegian territory, and that the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded in Oslo, Norway.
Norway has the world's longest road tunnel. Another fun fact is that modern and ancient skiing were invented in Norway. Norway has also hosted the Winter Olympics twice.
Norway was neutral during World War I, and around 98% of Norway's domestic power usage is drawn from hydroelectric power plants.
You can go to jail for 18 days for speeding over the limit in Norway. Norway has 329 Winter Olympics medals.